Amelia. Welcome back to my channel and happy Wednesday. So boy do I have a story for you. So today's video is a really fun one. I'm going to be crocheting characters from the game Among Us. I actually filmed this video last week and then deleted it. I was transferring footage. I took my SD card out of my computer, I put it back on my camera, I deleted everything off of it. Fresh start, you know, went back to my laptop, opened iMovie to begin editing, and there were maybe 6 video files versus the like 100 that I had filmed, which now had been deleted off my camera, and that's not even the worst part. Then I proceeded to spend an unspeakable amount of money buying software to try to get back deleted videos. It didn't work. I'm sure there's a way to do this, but I don't know what it is, and I'm currently recording over video footage with this video now, so it's all gone, and that unspeakable amount of money is gone too. But on a way happier note, we're going to crochet our Among Us characters, and basically in the game, you're all crewmates on a spaceship, but there can be 1, 2, or 3 imposters among you of different people who are sabotaging you. So basically, the goal of the game as the crewmate is to complete all the tasks you're supposed to do and report any dead bodies and vote off the imposters, and your goal as an imposter is to kill everybody and sabotage everything and destroy everything and ruin the mission, and who knows what else is going on in this universe. It's a really fun game and the animation is so cute and colorful and fun. So today I'm going to be showing you my tutorial on how to crochet a character from Among Us. My character is this little purple spaceman. So this is the front of his helmet, and then he's got his little backpack here of maybe his oxygen tanks, and then you can customize the color and you can customize accessories, and I chose this little cowboy hat. It's so cute. I absolutely love it. And then I also made my friend Lily's little character, so she has the yellow because Lily is a little ray of sunshine and yellow is her color, and then she picked these like ram's horns, so I made this for her. So what you will need for this DIY project is yarn of your choice. I like to use Caron Simply Soft yarn. You'll need a color for your character, you'll need black, you'll need white for the front of their helmet, and then you'll need whatever colors necessary to make your little accessory. You're also going to need stuffing, scissors, a yarn needle, a crochet hook, and that is all. So I decided to begin with red for the color of my crewmate because it's on the logo of the game, and I just thought it would be a fun color to use. So if you've never crocheted before, do not worry, I will explain everything about crocheting. So if you're new at crocheting, this will be a really easy project to start with because it's super simple. So the first thing we're gonna do is begin with a slip knot. So how I make a slip knot is you take the end of your yarn, put it around 2 fingers behind, and then come up through the middle and grab that loop, take hold of the tail and pull. Then you can adjust the size of your slip knot by pulling on the short tail. So make a small loop and put in your crochet hook. So the first step of this project is going to be a chain. So a chain is where you yarn over and pull through the loop that's already on your hook. So we're going to begin with 2 chains. Now a lot of people begin their crocheting different ways. Some people use something called a magic ring. I like to use this method, which is just simply 2 chains, and then you stitch back into the first chain that you did. So you put your hook underneath of the 2 loops on the top and over top of the 1 loop on the bottom. Then you yarn over again and you pull through. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you yarn over again and pull through both of those loops. And that is called a single crochet stitch. And we're going to use that stitch throughout the whole project. So you're going to begin by stitching 6 of those single crochet stitches, including this one, into this second chain. So do 6 single crochet stitches. After you've done that, that's your first row, and it'll look like this. So now for the second row, we're going to go back around, and I'm going to stitch 2 single crochet stitches into each single crochet so that I chained my 6 stitches into 12. After you finish your second row, it'll look like this. And now for the third row, we're going to do what I call an increase row. Now I'm going to stitch 1 single crochet in this first stitch, and then in the second stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets, and we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around until we turn our 12 stitches into 18 stitches. After the end of that row, your piece is going to look like this. I'm going to put my hook through my first stitch and then grab this tail and pull it through, and that's simply going to act as a marker to show me where I ended this section. Next, you're going to do 4 rows where you just stitch 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so that's 18 stitches around for 4 rows. After those 4 rows, this is what your piece will look like. So now this is the main body, and we're going to start on the legs. So I'm going to move my marker up here. To create the first leg, I really wanted it all to be one piece, so I'm going to kind of divide this in half and do 1 leg on this side and 1 leg on this side. So we're going to work on on this leg first. So I'm gonna stitch kind of in a circle here and connect it in the middle to create the legs. I know that this is 18 stitches around, so divided in half, it's 9 stitches for each leg, but I am going to increase that slightly. Stitch 4 single crochets on this row. And then I'm going to chain 4, just like we did at the beginning, and I'm gonna turn my piece and pinch it here so that this can go across. So then I'm gonna go over to this side and I'm gonna count those 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these 9 stitches are over here and then 9 stitches over here. So a slip stitch is where you go through the stitch, you yarn over, and then you just pull it directly through the loop that was on your hook. So now we have a basis for this leg, and there should be 12 stitches around, so I'm gonna count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I'm going to continue to do rows around here, and I'm going to do 4 of those rows. Just single crochet stitches in each stitch around. And sometimes I use this method where I randomly kind of do a decrease stitch, and that's where you combine 2 stitches into 1. And this kind of helps if your stitches are getting a bit loose and you just feel like they need to be smaller. And I never include this in the pattern because I feel like it's kind of confusing. If you feel like your leg is getting too wide, but you don't want to go back and take out a ton of stitches, you can just do a decrease stitch to decrease the amount of stitches by 1, and that'll kind of help tighten it up. So here's what I'm talking about. So we have the leg and it looks good, but just to make sure that it doesn't get too stretched out, I'm going to do a decrease stitch. So I go through a stitch, I yarn over, pull through, go through the next stitch, yarn over. Then I have these 3 loops on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that just combines those 2 stitches into 1. So it's kind of up to you. I don't want to confuse you or anything, but if you feel like your leg is getting too wide, because they do taper at the end, you can do those decrease stitches throughout, and I kind of do it randomly if I'm just feeling like it's stretching out too much or it just looks too big. Don't do it too much because it will affect the pattern, obviously, but just doing it one time will not hurt the pattern. So now we're just going to continue this until we have 4 rows of the leg. So I've done 4 rows here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm stopping on the side where I began. So this is the length that I want for the leg. So now I'm just going to begin doing decrease stitches until I close up the leg. So now we're just going to combine every single stitch with the stitch after it. So go through the stitch, yarn over, go through the next stitch, yarn over. You'll have those 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and just pull through all 3. And we're just going to keep doing that around. So when you get to the very end and you finish doing your stitches, I find that a lot of times with those decrease stitches, there's a lot of holes. So I like to put my yarn needle on my extra yarn, and I like to kind of weave this back through, fill in those holes. I don't think this would happen if my stitches were tighter, but you know what? It is what it is. So now this is what your piece is going to look like. So now I'm going to go ahead and stuff the body, and I'm going to stuff this leg, and then we're going to get on to making the second leg. So for the second leg, we're going to begin with that slip knot just like we did at the beginning. Insert my hook here on this side of the leg. Then I'm going to put the slip knot over my hook, and I'm going to do the slip stitch that we did earlier where you just pull through, yarn over, and then pull through again. So now I'm going to chain those stitches to go across the body. I went ahead and I chained 3 instead of 4 this time because the slip stitch kind of acts as the first chain. Go onto this other side here and slip stitch to connect the leg. So now we're just going to continue just like we did with the first leg and stitch around, making sure if you need to do those decrease stitches to keep it the same size as this leg, but you should have around 11 or 12 stitches around, and we're going to do that for 4 rows. Okay, so I've done the 4 rows, and I'm going to stop right above where my tail is sticking out, and this is currently what the little guy looks like. Really cute. After you've stuffed this second leg, you go ahead and do your decrease stitches all the way around until you cinch it up, and then you can put your yarn on your yarn needle to fill in any holes with extra yarn, and then you'll be done with the body. The last step for the body is going to be stitching up that space in the middle where we didn't connect the legs. So just put your yarn needle on that tail that's still existing from the second leg, and go ahead and just go through each side back and forth to stitch this section shut. And now the body of your little crewmate or imposter is finished. Next, we're going to move on to the little backpack. So to make the little backpack, we're going to make 2 pieces. So first, we're going to make the piece that sits on the top. So you're going to start with your slip knot just like we have before, and you're going to chain 5. Now you're going to skip the last chain that you did, and you're going to stitch back across 4 single crochets. Then your piece is going to look like this. Chain 1 and then turn my piece, and we're going to repeat that 2 more times. Another row of 4 stitches across, chain 1 and turn, and then a third row of 4 stitches across, so that we have a little rectangle that is 3 rows in height. Then go ahead and tie off your yarn, and your finished piece is going to look like this. You can go ahead and weave in both of these strings back into the piece. For the second piece, all you're gonna do is begin by chaining 15 stitches, then skip the last chain that you did and stitch back 14 single crochets across. And then your piece will look like this. I went ahead and wove in one of the strands, leaving the longest one here, and put my yarn needle on it, and now we're gonna go ahead and stitch the base of the backpack to the body. So choose which side you want to be the back. So then we're gonna take this piece, and basically I'm going to position it so that it goes in kind of a rectangle slash oval around the back like this, and we're gonna stitch it down. Place it here on the back, and then you're gonna go down through the body and then back through the piece, and just follow that shape so that you will end up with the base of the backpack. And when you're done, your piece will look something like this. So then take that little rectangle piece we had earlier, use this leftover yarn to whip stitch all the way around, which just means go through the piece and back through the piece attached to the body. Once you've sewn almost all the way around, put a little stuffing in here and you'll be finished with a little backpack. Now we're moving on to the front of the helmet. So you're gonna start with your white yarn in your little slip knot, just like we did before. And I'm gonna go ahead and chain 4. Now I'm going to skip the chain that I just did, and I'm gonna stitch 3 single crochets back across. Then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm gonna kind of flip it upside down so that I'm gonna be able to stitch 3 single crochets across the bottom of what I just stitched. So then your piece is gonna look like this. So then I'm gonna chain 1 again and turn. So now we're going to do something called a half double crochet all the way around. So I'm gonna start by going right in here. And a half double crochet is where you yarn over, go through your stitch, yarn over again, and then pull through all 3 of those loops. And I'm going to stitch in half double crochets all the way around. Then your little white piece is going to look something like this. Now we're gonna go switch to our black yarn. So go ahead and make your slip knot on your black yarn, put it through the last stitch I did with the white piece, and do our little slip knot. And then you're just going to go around and do a single crochet in every single stitch around to create kind of the little trim that's on the edge of their helmet. Okay, so now your piece should look like this, and as you can see, we're just gonna position it on the front of the little crewmate and use our leftover black yarn to stitch it on to the face. So I'm not gonna use a lot of stuffing. I'm gonna use a little bit of stuffing to stuff this, but I don't want it to stick off super weird or anything. So to make the little cowboy hat accessory, you're gonna start exactly the same way you did with the body. You're gonna chain 2, and you're gonna do 6 single crochets into that first stitch that you made. Then you're gonna do 2 stitches in each stitch around, and then for the third row, you're going to do an increased row of 1 stitch in the first stitch, 2 stitches in the second stitch to turn your 12 stitches into 18. And when you're done, your piece is going to look like this. So for the next row, we're just gonna do 1 stitch in each stitch around, but I'm gonna do a little twist. Instead of going through both of the loops to do the stitch, we're only gonna stitch through the back loop to do our single crochet, and you're gonna continue to do that all the way around. And that's gonna create kind of a ridge with this other stitch to help create the illusion of the ridge of the hat. After that row, your piece is gonna look like this. So now we have 1 more row for the hat, and that's gonna be the brim. So we're gonna do 2 half double crochets in each stitch around. So the half double crochet is when you yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over again, 3 loops on your hook, and you go through all 3. So do 2 into each stitch all the way around. When you're done with that, you're gonna do a slip stitch into the next stitch. And when you cut this piece of yarn, leave it long enough that you can bring it down to make a little tie under the chin. Then I'm using my yarn needle to take the leftover string, and I'm going to put one of them right here and one of them right here so that they can come down and be the little tie under the chin. So just put your yarn on your needle and weave it through till it's in the right place. And then just tie 2 knots to hold it together, and then you're done with the little cowboy hat. There's so many great options of all the different little accessories you can use, and I'm not sure which one I should make for my little red guy. So I think I'm gonna FaceTime my friend Lily, who I made the yellow guy for, and we're gonna ask her her opinion, and we're gonna see what she thinks I should make, and then I'm gonna crochet it. Here is Lily. Okay, Lily, what should we do for our little red goober?
Okay, I was thinking the little pink flower, if that's not too hard to do.
That is a good idea. This one?
Yes, that one.
Okay, Lily has spoken. That's cute. I like that, and that'll look cute with the red. Thanks, Lily.
Yeah.
To make the little pink flower that Lily chose for our accessory, I'm starting off with a slip knot on a light pink yarn, and I'm going to chain 4. Then I'm going to go back into the very first chain that I did, and I'm going to slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 4 again, and then go back through that original chain and do another slip knot. And then you basically continue that pattern for however many petals you want. I think I'm going to go for 5 petals, so that's just going to be 5 times of chaining 4 and then slip stitching through the original stitch in the middle. And then when you're done, you're going to pull on this tail to kind of cinch it all together, and then we'll move on to the little green part. To make the leaf, I'm starting off with a slip knot in a light green yarn, and I'm going to chain 4. Then in the second chain from my hook, I'm going to do a single crochet. In the next stitch, I'm going to do a half double crochet, and in the third stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet, which is where you yarn over, go through the stitch. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, but only go through the first 2, yarn over again, and then go through the last 2. So then I'm going to tie off this yarn, and I'm going to cinch these 2 together to make a little leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and make 2 of these to attach to the flower. Thank you so much for watching my tutorial on how to make little excuse you. There you go. Thank you so much for watching my tutorial on how to make characters from Among Us. I hope you enjoyed watching and learning how to crochet these characters. I hope you all have had an amazing week and you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you guys next Wednesday for another video. Bye guys. Purple, you're so sus. What? I'm not sus, I'm a cowboy. Yeehaw. How can a cowboy be sus? I am the picture of innocence. You have horns. That's evil. No, I am yellow, the color of sunshine. No, 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 no. Imposter, 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 imposter. And I'm going to stitch 2 single crochet stitches into each single crochet. Wow, it's a tongue twister.